Oh, happy day, happy day. There's nothing better than the Philadelphia Phillies taking care of business and beating their division rival, New York Mets. They won that big 3-game series at Citizens Bank Park 2-1 against the Mets, 2 games to 1, including Sunday night's big victory, 7-1 over the Mets on Sunday Night Baseball. Again, they won the series 2 games to 1. The Phillies outscored the Mets 21-14 in that 3-game series. Welcome into Phillies Daily, everybody. I'm your host, Mike Hennelly. Make sure you guys subscribe for more Phillies content. With that series win, with that win on Sunday Night Baseball over the Mets, the Phillies now have sole possession and sit atop the NL East alone over the New York Mets because of that win last night. They were tied going into Sunday Night Baseball. They were also tied to start that 3-game series on Friday night. The Phillies took over first place Friday night with a big win, lost Saturday night, were tied again, and now have sole possession of first place in the National League East with that win on national TV. The Phillies proved that they can hold their own against the New York Mets, who obviously they have struggled against recently. They had 2 blowout wins against the Mets this series, one on Friday night, and then one obviously in that 7-1 victory last night on Sunday Night Baseball. If you remember, the Phillies were embarrassed last year in the playoffs when they got eliminated very early by the New York Mets in the NLDS after winning the division, sent home packing. And then earlier this season, back in April, the Phillies were swept by the Mets coming off of that playoff loss. So it looked like they were their kryptonite and they couldn't beat the New York Mets. But now we see them get 2 blowout wins against the Mets, win a series against the Mets, and just do it really in dominant fashion. It was great to see. The Phillies now have the 3rd most wins in all of Major League Baseball. So they're not just in first place in the division. They have the 3rd most wins in all of Major League Baseball so far in 2025 with 47 wins. They are behind only the Detroit Tigers, who have the most wins in Major League Baseball of 49, and the Los Angeles Dodgers, who have 48 wins, who have the 2nd most. So just great stuff out of the Phillies, who obviously are doing a lot of this winning and just holding their own up there atop of the really Major League Baseball standings, not just the National League East standings, without their superstar Bryce Harper, without one of their starting pitchers, Aaron Nola, without one of their top relievers in Jose Alvarado. They're getting the job done. They are a championship caliber team. I don't care what anybody says. Say what you want, but this team is just finding ways to win, and they're just very impressive. Yes, they do have their losing streaks like any other team in Major League Baseball. It's a long season. It's going to happen. So you can't really dwell on that too much when it happens. The moral of the story here, the main point here, is that the Phillies are in first place in the division. They're playing good baseball. They're right up there with the best of them in the entire league. Huge reason for that is their offensive catalyst, Kyle Schwarber. Now, Kyle Schwarber obviously is just an impressive power hitter in all of Major League Baseball. Obviously, probably the Phillies' top power hitter, one of the best that has ever crossed paths in the city of brotherly love. He got the Phillies scoring early. He got the Phillies on the board first in last night's win against the New York Mets on Sunday Night Baseball. It was 0-0 going into the 4th inning, going into the bottom of the 4th inning. The Phillies came up. Kyle Schwarber, as we all know, launched a Schwar bomb into the seats, gave the Phillies a 1-0 lead with that solo shot. It's his 24th home run of 2025. Just incredible stuff out of Kyle Schwarber. And then later on that inning, Otto Kemp, the young kid, the rookie, he hit an RBI single to give the Phillies a 2-0 lead. And then Edmundo Sosa came up and hit a 3-run home run in that same 4th inning to give the Phillies a 5-0 lead going into the 5th inning. Sosa, credit to him, he had an impressive day at the plate yesterday. He was just a triple shy of going for the cycle. Obviously hit that 3-run home run, had a single, had a double, just one triple shy of doing something incredible. So credit to Edmundo Sosa coming off the bench as a bench player and having an incredible day on national TV against a good Mets team to help the Phillies win that ball game 7-1 and win that series 2-1. Not only did the Phillies score 7 runs in last night's win, they also had 10 hits. Always good to see them reach that double-digit mark for hits. That's when your offense is really going good, and the Phillies' offense has been going good as of late. Also, huge credit to Jesus Luzardo. We've been talking about him a lot recently because he has obviously struggled or had a great start to his Phillies career after being traded this past offseason from the Miami Marlins. Got traded to the Phillies. It looked like an incredible move. Jesus Luzardo was having an Cy Young worthy season throughout his first, handful, really most of the season. Then he ran into some trouble, had a couple bad starts here and there recently. Credit to Jesus Luzardo. He put those struggles behind him on a huge stage last night on national TV with first place in the National League East on the line against a good New York Mets team, and he got the job done. First, let's talk about his struggles as of late. Like I mentioned already, he had allowed 32 hits, 25 earned runs, and 9 walks in his previous 4 starts before last night's win. Just really, really bad stuff. Really poor performances out of Jesus Luzardo in those previous 4 starts. But last night on Sunday Night Baseball on national TV against the New York Mets with first place on the line, Jesus Luzardo, the lefty, he went 6 2/3 innings for the Phillies. He allowed just 3 hits. He only had just the 1 walk, 0 earned runs, so 6 2/3 scoreless innings out of Jesus Luzardo, and he had 7 strikeouts in his outing against the Mets. Honestly, he's gotten up for these big games. He's performed really well against these good teams when he's on the mound. He has allowed just 1 earned run combined in 4 starts between the Dodgers, the Chicago Cubs, and the Mets. He faced the Cubs twice this year, so that's why it's 4 starts, not 3 that I had mentioned. So those 2 starts against the Cubs, and he allowed 1 run in one of those starts against the Cubs, which is that 1 run through those 4 combined starts against 3 of the top teams in all of Major League Baseball, in all of the National League. So he gets up and he performs well against these good teams, which is a good sign for, obviously, when the playoffs come rolling around. He can live up to the big moment. He's not afraid. He's not going to back down. And as I said, just a huge bounce back performance by Jesus Luzardo. Great to see out of him. In those 4 starts that I had mentioned against the good teams, just a 1 earned run in 25 2/3 innings. So just really impressive stuff out of Jesus Luzardo, facing great offenses like the Dodgers, like the Cubs, like the Mets. Hopefully he can keep that up and keep rolling, build off of that performance, and get back on track to his NL Cy Young worthy season he was having before those 4 starts before last night. We'll see, but all I know is he shut down the Mets offense. I loved it. I'm sure everybody else in Philadelphia, any other Phillies fan around the world loved it as well, because nothing is better than beating and dominating the New York Mets. It just feels great, and it just makes you want to say, hallelujah, baby. Now, as we all know, if you've been watching my videos, if you've been following along with Phillies Daily as of late, I've been talking about recent trade rumors surrounding the Philadelphia Phillies, or just potential names at positions of need that the Phillies could look into from certain teams that could be sellers as we approach this July 31st trade deadline. It's no secret that the Phillies need bullpen help. And a guy that they could look into is Minnesota Twins closer Jhoan Duran. Sorry if I butchered his name, but, I personally don't really know the guy too well, except for the little bit of research I've done on him and just seen him just around pitching and highlights and all that kind of stuff. But Duran, he's the Twins closer. As I said, he's still fairly young. He's a 27-year-old right-handed reliever, right-handed pitcher, and he's having an incredible season so far in 2025. He has a 1.57 ERA with 10 saves and 12 save opportunities so far in 2025, and he has 39 strikeouts in 34 1/3 innings pitched so far this year with the Twins. He had 23 saves last year in 2024 with the Twins and 27 saves back in 2023 with the Twins. His pitch arsenal, he mostly relies on a split finger and a 4-seam fastball. He also mixes in a nasty knuckle curve. He has a sweeper, rarely uses it, so mostly split finger, 4-seam with that mix in of the knuckle curve, which is just an incredible pitch to keep guys off balance and get swings and misses, get called strike threes and all that kind of stuff. He's a hard thrower. He can reach triple digits on his pitches. Obviously, a guy like that, anybody would like to have a young guy at that, 27 years old, closer, late inning, high leverage reliever, just elite stuff, elite speed, great at the back end of a game, trying to close out a game, trying to pick up a win. He could help this Phillies team just tremendously. He can just take this bullpen to the next level, especially with a hard thrower like Jose Alvarado, who was suspended for 80 games and is not eligible for the playoffs. Unfortunately, they could use a guy like Duran in the back end of the bullpen like that, maybe as their closer, or just a setup guy to keep them in there to go along with Jordan Romano, Orion Kirkring, and Matt Strahm. He does have 2 more years left of club control, so that is even more enticing for a team looking for relief help, late inning, high leverage relief help, like a guy that Duran offers. That also skyrockets his trade value for the return that the Twins would want. Just because he's 27, he is honestly one of the better closers in Major League Baseball, especially this year so far. Got those 2 years of club control left. So if the Twins were to trade Duran, they are going to want a lot back for him, especially with how many teams are looking for relief help, bullpen help. They can just set that price tag, and that's that. The Twins are 37-40. They are in 4th place in their division in the AL Central. They're 11 games out of first place in that division, and they are 2.5 games out of an American League wildcard spot. So they're hovering around 500, just below it. They're hovering around a playoff spot in the wild card, most likely not in the running for the division unless they get hot and just win a ton of games and have the teams above them lose a ton of games. So they are a fringe playoff team as we near this July 31st trade deadline in a little over a month. They could be falling out of the playoff picture, and they could be sellers, and a guy like Duran is going to be one of their best trade assets, and a team like the Phillies are going to be significantly interested in a guy like Duran. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Phillies Daily. Make sure you guys like, comment, share, and subscribe for more Phillies content from your host, Mike Hennelly. As I said, just great stuff over the weekend, dominating the New York Mets. Every Phillies fan loves to see it. I love to see it. Hopefully they can keep this rolling, moving on to the next series. And as always, go Phils.